Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays, a show from Help and Hope South Coast to help strengthen mental health in the region and end stigma around it. My name is Beth Perdue, and I'll be your host as we talk to local professionals about mental health and how we can support ourselves and each other through these turbulent times. We're brought to you through the generous support of South Coast Health, a not-for-profit, community-based health system serving southeastern Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Thanks for joining us. Let's meet our guest. Welcome back, everyone. We're talking to Scott Ciosek, pastor of St. Peter's Episcopal Church and executive director of the Bridge Center for Hope and Healing in Dartmouth. Scott, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Beth. It's great to be here.
So I have a lot I want to ask you, but I think I really want to start with, you are the pastor of Episcopal Church here in Dartmouth, and you also run a center for counseling and healing, and the two are really fairly close or not. Can you tell us a little bit about the relationship between the two?
They are, yeah. St. Peter's has been in the village for quite some time, and in about 2013, when I became the pastor there, we really began doing a lot of visioning and just restructuring and just creating a whole new sense of mission for what the parish is all about. And one of the things that we clearly talked about was the fact that churches need to be in mission mode, not in maintenance mode. And what that means to me and what that means to many people is the importance of really always looking outward and never looking inward, right? I mean, a lot of churches are just looking inward and worried about the people who are there. And everything that we do at St. Peter's is about looking outward into the community. Who can we serve? Who can we care for? Who can we help? And that has made an incredible difference for us. And it was in the midst of one of those conversations in the early days that the idea of the Bridge was born. So the Bridge is totally separate from the church. It's its own separate 501c3 nonprofit organization. But as I like to tell people, it grew out of the mission of the church. And then as we were having these conversations, we looked at this beautiful house that was just really sitting there empty when you first come up the driveway on Elm Street. And it was built in 1900, and we took over the whole building and we restructured it, we repainted it, we made it really come alive and look homey and welcoming.
Wow, it's really ambitious for a church. Now, churches do counseling, but to create your own separate nonprofit counseling center,
it was quite the project. And you know, one of the things that I think is really important is we just want to stress to people that we are a full-service counseling center. We're not a Christian counseling center or a church counseling center. We don't want people to think they have to be a member of the Episcopal Church. We have people that call us all the time and they say, but I'm Catholic, and you're welcome, right? Everybody is welcome if they don't have a faith journey. Our doors are open to everyone in the community who is in need of hope and healing in their lives. Yeah.
So this started in 14?
The very beginning of 2016 is when we really opened the doors.
And what timing, right? Are you seeing anything different in the last year? Or, I mean, it just feels like you might be seeing more people.
When the pandemic began, I think many of us were worried about, how are we going to do all this? Because so much about psychotherapy and counseling requires that in-person relationship.
Right.
So we were saying, how is this going to happen? And if it wasn't for telehealth and for technology and for computers, we would have had a very difficult time if this was 30 years ago.
Right.
So we moved all of our counseling over to a telehealth platform.
Okay.
So we have 8 psychotherapists and all of them since March have been working every day from home. And we were worried because we said, okay, there are certain populations that are not going to be able to do telehealth, or they're not going to like it, or it's
elderly.
The elderly we were kind of worried about. And now we're just hearing from everybody just how much they benefit from it, how easy a transition. We use a secure platform called DoxyMe.
Okay.
And the clinician just gives them the link. They tell them how to log on, and all the client does is push a button and you get your counseling session.
That's great.
And a lot of folks have said just how convenient it is. They don't have to leave work to drive to a counseling appointment. They can go right out to their car on their laptop or their tablet or their cell phone and take an hour for lunch and get their appointment done.
So they can do it privately too, if they're in a work setting or if they're in a home setting.
And we're also envisioning that at some point we're going to open up again for in-person counseling. But one of the things that we just learned about a week ago is that telehealth has been approved going forward to be billable to the insurance company. So
that's great.
It's going to open up a lot of doors for people who need counseling. And in this pandemic, I mean, our numbers have
that's what I wondered,
skyrocketed. So many people are struggling with anxiety and depression and the unknown. And I'm just happy that we're able to be here and to provide the support that we're providing for people. I mean, the numbers of clients that we're serving has just really taken off. Not only adults and seniors, but children and teens.
Yes.
A lot of younger people are, of course, struggling with all the changes that they've been presented with.
Do you think that the pandemic and the fact that people are finally reaching out for help, do you think it sort of opens up new doorways and new understanding of what mental health is and how important it is?
Yeah, I think there was a time when people just kept what they were dealing with to themselves or even to their family unit. And I mean, let's admit it, there's been an incredible stigma in our culture and in our community related to any topic of mental health. And so many people are telling me or telling our staff that knowing that so many people are struggling right now has almost given them the permission that they needed to come forward and schedule a counseling appointment, something that they may have wanted to do 2 years ago, but that stigma, I think, is really going away, I'm hoping.
It's a little sad. It's almost like seeing the whole world struggling suddenly, though, opens up people to saying, oh, well, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, and I'm not alone. Right?
And I'm not alone.
I mean, I'm not alone in this. And, we occasionally hear the stories of people, and I think it's so natural at times to feel isolated and to feel alone. But I think the one thing that this pandemic has helped us to see is that we're not alone. And the response of the community, even something like Help and Hope South Coast, all of these organizations are coming together, kind of joining hands in the work that you do, and just to get the word out there to people that what we need to reclaim in our world is just a greater sense that we're all here to help one another and that we're all here to care for one another, because the sense of isolation that people live with and have to deal with is just really high in our culture.
It is, and it's nice to see organizations like yours making a difference in that area. And you do more than just counseling, and it's possible you're not doing it now through the pandemic, but there are also other sort of practices that can help people strengthen their own mental health that you guys offer, right?
Yeah, so we do meditation and mindfulness, which is really something that people can connect with, right? Because part of our mission too is really helping people to embrace some sense of spirituality, right? Not in terms of church type spirituality, but I mean just getting people to identify greater meaning and greater purpose and connectedness in their life. I know someone who his spirituality, every day he goes for a walk in one of the Dartmouth trails or goes for a walk on the beach, and that's his opportunity to connect, you know? So one of the visions of St. Peter's and the bridge is really to embrace and to respect all types of spirituality. Yeah. So we've done sound healing. We've had gong baths, which we have a practitioner who comes in with these huge gongs, right? And people lie down on the floor, and for an hour, she just kind of plays the gongs.
So there's no water involved, right?
There's no water, but because the vast majority of what makes us up is water, the sound literally enters in to our body, and I've experienced it and I felt it, and it's pretty relaxing.
Nice.
So all of those things that we were doing, because they involve in-person participation, we've just had to put them on hold for a little bit of time. The other thing that we were doing that was really a community builder, we were doing drum circles out in the backyard, and people were coming with their drum, and just really, the energy of connecting to others was pretty amazing.
Oh, that does sound amazing. I've never tried that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Nice.
You'll have to come next time we do it.
I will.
Yeah.
Post-pandemic, which will be, or maybe once
hopefully.
the vaccine.
I know.
So, do you have, so it sounds to me like the center is thriving and you sort of have it where you want it to be. Is there a vision going forward, or are you really happy with what it's doing?
We're very happy at what we're doing, but we can never settle. That's my big thing, right? Yeah. We can never settle and just say, okay, we're at this point and we're just going to kind of coast along. We're always, dreaming and expanding and growing into a greater vision. So our hope is to continue to bring on more clinicians in a particular way. So right now we're kind of getting to that point where we're a little bit at capacity, just in terms of all the needs in the community and everybody who's struggling. So we're looking at just expanding our staff so that we can serve more people in a particular way, to identify and to bring on some clinicians who have greater experience in dealing exclusively with children and teens, because we are seeing a lot of children and young people and teens coming in. And we're just hoping to be able to expand those services and to be able to offer more for the youth of our community.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
So that's one of the big visions, but so if anybody knows anybody, right, they can just give us a call.
That's great.
And it's part-time, full-time. We just take clinicians on board who can do whatever they can do for us.
I'm glad you're working with that, or you're thinking of expanding, working with that population, youth and teens, because we've been hearing that they're really struggling. One of the populations really missing the routines in their lives that sort of been taken away. So that's fantastic. Now, where do people find all of the programs? How can they find out more, or if they're interested in reaching out for counseling, how do they make that happen?
So we have a website, thebridgedartmouth.org. You can also call our main number, which is 508-997-0903. And just be patient, I would ask if you could just leave a message and we'll get back to you, because our whole staff is working from home right now.
Okay.
So our scheduling person checks the messages throughout the day. So just leave a message and we'll get back to you. But we also have a Facebook page. So if you just put in the Bridge Dartmouth, the Bridge, a Center for Hope and Healing, Dartmouth, it'll take you to our Facebook page. And we accept all major health insurances.
Great.
So that helps
yes, I'm
right
sure
now,
that helps a lot.
for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Was there anything you didn't get a chance to tell us tonight that you wanted to?
I think we kind of covered a lot of it.
Yeah.
You know, just in terms of the counseling that we do, and just we continue to grow. You know, we at the very beginning it was. All right, how are we going to get the word out? How are we going to let people know that we're here? And
you don't worry about that anymore?
We're not worried about that anymore. People know that we're here. So.
I think your timing was amazing with this project, and,
it was good.
And very visionary. So
yeah, and just to be able to really fill a need in the community. I mean, on the South Coast, there's just such a shortage of mental health services, and we just hope to add our little part to what we're doing here.
It's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining
You're very
me
welcome.
tonight.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, everyone, for listening in. See you next time. Good night.